Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting week of the next issue. I'm your host, The Power Trip, and after that terrifying month of October, I thought we'd start off November with, well, a little fan service, if you will. No, not that kind of fan service, even if it is about comic books. No, I'm going to take full advantage of the fact that a wonderful comic book movie coming out this week called Doctor Strange, and I figured today I'd kind of touch base a little bit on the character. Now, I'm going to be the first one to admit here, I've never been a really big follower of Doctor Strange, but that's because growing up for me, by the time I really got into comics, well, I won't say by the time I got really into comics, I've always been into comics, but by the time Marvel was such a huge deal for me, Doctor Strange at that point was more playing along the lines of a cameo role in that position. You see, Dr. Stephen Strange started off as a surgeon. I'm going to touch on his origin story here a little bit. He had his hands broken, and while traveling around the world to find a way to fix this so he could, do what he loved to do, he came across the then Sorcerer Supreme, and, long story short, did a lot of training in magic and martial arts both, and took up the mantle of the new Sorcerer Supreme. Now, going into this, from what I have read over the years, Doctor Strange started off way back when as this character that the writers really loved to get into, and they made him this dark magic practitioner, and he became so much more than that, obviously. But the problem was he was one of those characters, you know when you guys want to write a fun story or something, but you make it about you. And, or if you create yourself in a video game, you want to give yourself all the best stuff. You want to make yourself this uber powerful being, and then everyone else just support. Well, Doctor Strange kind of became that to the Marvel Universe. You see, way back when, they gave Doctor Strange all these wonderful magical items and toys and trinkets, all this training, and he just kind of ended up not doing so well in his own book because it honestly became kind of like a Superman of sorts. By the end of it, it's like, what can possibly stop Superman? Well, what could possibly stop Doctor Strange? I mean, he meditates with beings such as Eternity, who is basically the living fabric of the Marvel Universe. He communicates to the Living Tribunal, who is the most powerful being in the Marvel Universe. He talks to all these beings on a cosmic scale. He travels the multiverse, getting more and more powerful constantly. And while he has had his own solo books and everything over the years, and he's had his fair share of defeats and such, eventually the time came in the 90s where he ended up becoming more of a guest role instead of having his own solo story. And he would just make cameo appearances in different books, from Spider-Man to X-Men to the Avengers. And it was because you had this character that, when you brought him in, he was just amazing to have, but he was so powerful. You couldn't keep him around for too long, because, the stories were just crazy. Pretty good example of this is Marvel's quote-unquote reboot, not reboot, 2015 Secret Wars, where Strange is one of the last remaining beings who made it to the end of the multiverse and became Doom's right-hand man. It's because Strange has all this power on his own, and while he couldn't defeat Doom with the power set Doom had at that point, he was one of the few beings that could have at least put up his own fight without the use of the Infinity Gauntlet or anything else, for that matter. But I digress. Doctor Strange is an absolutely amazing character. If you love the dark magic, you love the crossing dimensions, and what introducing this character into the Marvel Cinematic Universe to me means is the ability to see things that we've not gotten to see before. Kind of like following into the Guardians of the Galaxy there. Thor kind of did a little bit of it. But, when the majority of your Avengers and Marvel movie characters all reside on and take place on Earth, you don't get to see too much crazy out there stuff. hence Guardians of the Galaxy being out in deep space, and then all of a sudden you're seeing things that you probably wouldn't see in a Captain America or Iron Man movie. We're going to get that in Doctor Strange, and to kind of trip over myself with this one, yes, I honestly understand that he's still going to take place mostly on Earth, but the fact that he, with the wave of his hand, could cross into another dimension, the fact that we're going to get to see, more than likely, characters such as Dormammu, and there's been hints of the Living Tribunal, and these giant cosmic entities that just mean the growth of the Marvel comic movie universe. And, to me, that's a kind of a big step-up game to DC and any other comic book industry wanting to step into the movie universe roles here. It's time to, obviously Marvel's got a long-term plan here, but that's the fun of it in the comics for me. I always knew whenever I was reading Spider-Man or the Avengers or X-Men that things were finally getting real serious when Strange would show up. Because that meant characters like Thanos and Mephisto and such were going to be around the corner. Characters that there's no way Spider-Man on his own was going to handle. There's no way just Captain America or Iron Man was going to be able to do anything. This was, if Doctor Strange rolled over to you in the 90s or the 2000s, it meant something huge was about to happen. And I really think that's what's about to happen with the movie universe as well. But, like I said, I've never 100% followed the characters, so this is my take on them. This is the vibe I get from him. This is from the bits I have read. These are my fun moments with him, and I want to know what you guys think as well, coming into, with the movie coming out this weekend and everything. What's your favorite Doctor Strange moments? What are you excited and hope to get to see when this movie comes out this weekend? Let me know in the comments below, and, as always, if there's any topics you want me to cover in depth or anything you want to request, feel free to request through Patreon here at the Culture Cache. And I'll see you all next week, especially after I get to see this awesome movie. Join me next week for the next issue.